Hi friends, let's see the app we are going to develop in the next couple of lessons. When you run this app, this is the main option screen. You will see a menu which is on a table view. So I can click on say employee options, then it will load this data, and all the employee data are loaded dynamically from a data source, right? And then I can click on employee, and then it's dynamically changing this page with that particular employee and the projects. If I go back and click another employee, you can see the same page is dynamically changing with that employee and the projects, which are all loaded dynamically. The images are also loaded dynamically from a data source, right? So it's different images loaded dynamically. And then I can delete employees. Let's say I can swipe and say delete, then it deletes the data, right? If not, I can click on edit and say if I want to delete something, click on this and click delete, right? And when I'm done, I can say done, right? And then further I can insert data dynamically. Let us say a section P and say Peter, for example, and click OK. So it all gets added dynamically, right? Then once I'm done with employees, I can go scroll down, right? And then I can go into department options, right? So department, and do the same thing for department, right? But it's very important that you have to make sure to look at the next couple of lectures in this on table views, that is part 1, 2, 3, etc., until we complete this app. It explains all the theory and the practical knowledge which you need to know about developing this app, right? Okay friends, we are very excited to show you how to develop this app practically, and let's do it now. Okay friends, so the following is the outcome of this part of the lesson. When you complete this part of the lesson, your app will look like this. Until you complete the other parts of the lesson, it will have a main menu which is a static table view controller, right? And you will be able to click on the menu options and dig into detail, right? And dig into employee details and show the dynamic data, right? Likewise, right? And the most important thing is you can go back to a next screen, the department options, and it will allow you to make a simple app, right? But after you complete this lesson, make sure to go and look at the next lessons in order to complete the full app demonstrated earlier. Hi friends, so this lesson is table views, dynamic content, event handling part 3, and we are very excited to take you through this lesson. Let's dig into this and see what's inside this. So it's event handling part 3, so you have to make sure that you look at part 1 and part 2, my friends. Tools used, we'll be using Xcode version 11.4.1 for the practicals and Apple developer docs for referencing. Prerequisite, you have to look at the following previous lessons on table views in Objective-C in this series, which are table view static content, table view dynamic content, UI table view controller part 1 to 5, dynamic content table, UI table view part 1 to 2, and event handling part 1 to 2. Right? You have to look at some of the previous basic lessons on Objective-C series, right? That is to make sure that you are comfortable with, the initial stuff which you require. In this session, you will learn continue using UI table view controller to display the list of employees. You will also continue to use UI table view delegate protocol to do the event handling. You will also use UI table view to display a list of projects for employees, because if you have other components in your view controller, then you will not be able to use, let us say, UI table view control. Instead of that, you will have to use UI table view, right? So we have explained this in the previous lessons. Using and displaying multiple view controllers and using NS Dictionary to store data until you do the lesson in the series about databases, right? For now, we are using NS Dictionary to store the data, passing data from one view controller to the other, and UI navigation controllers and static table view controllers, right? And adding more options and view controllers is what you are going to learn in this session, my friends. Lesson plan is going to be practical demonstrations, right? Awesome. Let's dig and let's see. Let's go into the practical, my friends, right? Okay, right? So this is the last project we stopped, right? So make sure you have that code, right? So when I say the last project, this is UI table, this is table views, dynamic content, event handling, part 2. The code which we wrote in part 2. Now I'm taking it forward, right? So this is part 3, but I'm using the part 2 code, right? So this is the part 2 outcome. Let's see what we finished in part 2, right? So let's see the output. And basically we have a list of employees, right? And when we click each employee, we can see details about that employee and the picture and the specific projects the employees working. So they are dynamically changing based on the selected employee. Awesome, right? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add basically, let me show it to you. So I'm going to add more options and view controllers, right? And static table view controllers as well. So let's start with that part now. So what I want to do is just before this screen, I want to have another screen like a menu choice, right? Where I can select either the employee options or the department options, right? So I need a screen before this, right? So because I want like a menu, I'm going to use a table view for that, right? And because it's like this, if I say employees and departments, let's say I want to keep it fixed. Let's say it's like a fixed menu, right? Just assume like that, right? And think it's not dynamically changing. In that case, you can straight away use a static UI table view, right? A static table view if you think the content is not going to change. Let's do that. And we have done it in the previous lessons. I'm just applying it, right? So let's go to the object library and let's get a table view controller, my friends, right? Awesome. So I'm putting a table view controller because I'm going to use it just for displaying the menu, right? And I want to keep it as a static, table view controller. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, but one thing very important, if this is the first screen I want to run, then I have to make sure that that the initial screen is going to be this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this and I'm going to say, this is the, look at my mouse, this is the initial view controller, so that this arrow will be positioned over here, right? So if I select this table view controller and say is initial view controller, as you can see now it's the initial view controller, my friends, right? Awesome, right? Okay, so now I got a table view controller here, right? So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep it like a static menu, right? So I'm going to click on this and see what properties I have to make, right? So click on the table view. Okay, I got one prototype cell, right? That's fine with me, right? And let's say let's go and see this, right? No, let's say that I want 3 cells, right? Because it's and also it's not dynamic, right? It's static cells. So first thing I'm going to do is I have to select it to be static cells, right? And then I'm going to say I got, okay, one section, right? That's fine, right? But in that section I'm going to say that I got 3 rows. Awesome, right? Let's say I got a couple of options, right? Right, couple of options, right? Okay, awesome, right? And then let me see the table view, right? And the table view controller, right? All good, looks good, right? The sections, that's fine. And then these ones, right? Awesome, right? So now on each cell, right, I'm going to give, let us say, a right detail style, right? So the style I have selected as right detail, and accessory I'm going to say disclosure indicator. So it's up to you to give whatever the style you want, right? And also I would like to have an image, right? Let's say now, so for that I'm going to add some images into this. Those are like some extra images I'm going to use into my images folder. So I'm going to right click and say add files, right? Okay, friends, and downloads, right? So a couple of menu options, right? I'm going to add them, which I'm going to use here, right? Awesome, right? So then for the first cell, right, the image is, let's say it's project, right? Give me a sec. Okay, let me select some image and let me just run and see, right, what's going to happen, right? So I just want to see whether that static table view controller will come or whether it will give any issues for us, right? And have a look at our previous lessons if you think you are new to this, right? Okay, awesome, right? So I can see something there, right? So let me click this now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the image, right? And then click on image options, and then I'm going to get the menu options, right? Let's start with this. So menu options one is that, right? And then quickly the label I'm going to let me increase a little bit so you can see. Let's say this is employee options, right? Let's say it's like a menu, right? Employee options, right? Awesome, right? Great, right? And then let's click on the second cell, right? And then give the style as right detail, right? And then make sure to give an image, right? If you don't see the image you are looking for, don't worry about that. Just put something, right? And then you expand this and then click on the image, right? And then you should see more options, right? Like see, as I said, right? So many options, right? and let's say this I want is departments, right? So this one, right? Let's say like that, and let's say I want to call this as department options, right? So I'm going to add more stuff, and then for this cell I'm going to give accessory as disclosure indicator. So I'm going to add few more things into this list. I'm going to add few more. So I'm going to go to the section and say that I need more rows, right? So I'm going to say I need altogether 6 rows, right? And I'm going to add them as well. Okay, friends, I just added some few stuff. You saw how I did it earlier, so you can do the same for this. Let's quickly run this and see whether I'm getting the first menu option, right? So this is like when I run the app, this is like what I want to see as the starting page, right? Let's say something like that, right? Awesome. So I got employee options, department, project, shift. So when I click on these, I just want to go into the relevant pages, right? Let's look into that now, right? Awesome. So I clicked on the section and I gave a section header called main option. So you will see when you run, you'll see that it displays the main options. Okay, friends, right? So now we are at that level, right? So I got the main options now, right? Awesome. Now when I click on this, let's say I want to load the relevant page. Of course, I can statically put some what do you call this storyboard segues by control and drag, right? That's fine. I can do it. But let's say I want to do it dynamically as well, right? So let's do it this way. Now I got one table view controller for list of employees, right? Let's put another table view controller for list of departments, right? So let me say this, right? Now I got a list of employees, and then I'm going to move it little towards the top like this, right? And then let's say I'm going to put another table view controller over here to have department options, right? So the list, let's say I'm going to display the list of departments, right? Okay, so once again I can do this dynamically, right? So let's do it fast, right? Let's do it fast. Now if I got a list of departments, right? So I got a table. Now I want to do it dynamic, right? So the first thing is, if you remember our lessons, I have to attach a custom class of table view controller, right? So what I'm going to do is let's say table view control list of employees. Okay, so I'm going to add a new file. Let's do this fast because we have done this, right? I'm going to say now it's going to be a subclass of UI table view controller, right? So let's say table view controller list of departments, right? I'm showing you how to apply things now, right? List of departments. And then immediately I have to go to the storyboard, right? And then select on this table view control. And first thing is I have to go to the identity inspector and connect that new table view controller custom class. So it's table view controller list of departments. When I started typing, it automatically took it here, right? So right, table view control list of departments. So I'm going to put it as a storyboard ID just in case if I need to use it, right? Awesome, right? Enter. Now I got it connected, and then as usual, if I look at quickly, doing it, if I click on that, this is it, and I can see there's a table view, right? Okay, and then I can see that there's a cell, right? And I can see there is some content, right? So in the table view cells, let's click on this, the table view, right? Okay, I had to look at the attribute inspector. So it's dynamic prototype cells 1, right? Then if I click on the cells, I'm going to once again make it right. Let's say subtitle, right? It's up to you, and accessory disclosure indicator, right? And then image, let's say I'm just putting an image, but I will be putting the relevant departments, right? Say DPT1, DPT2, right? Likewise, right? IT department sales, right? So I need some images for that, right? So let's quickly put some images for that. Okay, friends, so I'm going to add some images to display as department. So once again, I'm going to right click on the images and add files, right? And then click on the downloads, and I got the department images, right? So I'm going to add them, right? Awesome. And then what I'm going to do is just I'm going to bring this dynamic, right? But I'm just clicking on it and expanding, clicking on the image, and then just going to say, okay, what's it? Department images, right? Awesome, right? So let's say This the first one, IT department, right? Awesome, awesome, right? That's great, right? So just to see whether this new table view control is working, I'm going to do a simple thing. Of course, this is my starting screen, but for temporarily, I'm going to click this and say, okay, that this is my initial view controller, so that I can run it and see how it looks like, right? So, but later I will change it back to the other screen, right? But now I'm checking whether this is working. So I'm just setting it as initial view controller to see what sort of output I'm going to get. Okay. So now let's say I run it and I have set stuff, but I don't see, right? I don't see anything, right? Let's see why it is. But you know the reason. The reason is I had to set the data source, right? Because I just created the cells, but I have not attached the data, right? In terms of, because it says it's dynamic, right? So why you don't see it is simply when you click on your table view, it says it's dynamic, right? It doesn't say it's static, right? So that's the reason, right? So it's dynamic. So I had to, if it's dynamics, right, dynamic, then I had to give a data source, right? Awesome. Now let's quickly give the data source. So it's going to be similar to this, right? It's going to be similar to the list of employees. So what I'm going to do is I'm quickly going to go to the list of employees table view controller, this one, and then I'm going to see what I have done there, and I'm going to replicate that in the list of departments. I'm going to the header files, right? So I got header titles. Let's say I don't want it. List of employee names and images. So I need this too, right? So I'm quickly going to get it. So because we have done it, then I'm quickly going to come. So it's easy, right? Because you need, right? Okay, awesome. Let's put it. And then I'm going to just rename it as list of department names. And this list of department images. Awesome, right? And then I'm going to go to the .m file and like just copying these two, right? And bringing the same thing into the departments, right? From the employee, right? So then in the view did load, I'm going to put it here, list of department names and the list of department images. Awesome. And then I'm going to give the department names as say IT department, something like that, and I'm going to fill this the rest. And then the images, I'm going to give these names. What are this? Department, what's it? Department images set 4a, right? So I'm going to just copy, right, from here, copy, right? Then I'm going to come back to this and just put it here, right? So as my list of images, right? Awesome. I'm going to fill this part and this part now, right? Awesome. And one thing in this, I'm not going to break it into sections, right? So it's just one list. So I don't need to have this extra sections, right? So I'm just going to delete that, right? And I don't need this as well then, because it's just one list I'm going to have, right? So no sections. So you know this because we have done this part earlier, right? Then it's the same for the department images as well, right? So I don't have sections, so I don't need a multi-dimensional array, right? It's because I have to put it into multi-dimensional if I have a number of sections, but in the department I'm not going to put any sections. So once I have the data, let's quickly go and have a look at the list of employees. That's all good, and then now you have to override the important data source methods, right? So now I'm going to do the same. Now one thing you have to remember is, because this is a table view controller, right? So it's by default it confirms to the table view data source and table view delegate protocols. What you have to do is just override them. So you don't have to specify that you are going to confirm, because they are already confirming. So I can quickly show it to you. Look at this. What I mean is this. I'm just reminding, we have done this earlier. If I look at UI table view controller, so if I go and look at the UI table view controller, quickly I will show it to you. What I mean is this. In the UI table view controller, if you look at the developer docs, it says it's already confirming to these two protocols. That's what I mean, right? So the table view controller already confirms. So you don't have to say that you are going to confirm, right? Meaning you don't have to specify it here, right? So you don't have to say like this. You don't have to put this and say, okay, UI table view data source, comma. You don't have to say that, because that's what the API says. It's already confirming to it, right? So you don't have to mention it, right? That's what this says. It's already confirmed. What you have to do is just override the methods, right? So that's what we did earlier also. So I'm going to the table view of departments, right? And in fact, it's already having those methods, right? So only thing I have to add is the number of sections, right? So I'm going to put that here, number of sections, right, in the table view, right? Awesome, right? And at the moment I have only one section, so I'm straight away going to say return just one section. Then I already had it, sorry my friends, right? See, it's already here, so it's there, so I'm going to delete this, right? We already had it. Only thing I have to just remove this and say return one. Awesome, awesome, right? I got it. Then number of rows. So the number of rows is the list of the count of list of departments, right? So it's the count of the list of departments, right? You just have to count it. Okay, friends, right? So let's do it now.